Good morning, everyone. It's Matt Thompson here with another Jeff Weinhaus update. Sorry for all the technical difficulties. Hopefully, we got this going now. Um, Today, September the 11th, is not only a day to remember all the victims of the tragedy in New York on 2001, but also it was 8 years ago today that my friend Jeff Weinhaus was shot 4 times, point blank range, twice in the head and twice in the chest. Um, he was shot by Sergeant Henry Folsom of the Missouri State Highway Patrol and later convicted and serving 30-year sentence for assaulting Sergeant Folsom, who was never assaulted in any way. They argued that Jeff intended to assault him, uh, but video evidence shows that Jeff clearly didn't. Jeff was approaching the ambush that they set for him, and he was calling preachers to try to get them to go with him, somebody to help protect him, to be safe. He was singing hymns and praying to God. He said, God, no matter what nefarious things they're going to do to me, strike it down, stand for my defense, stand for my defense. And I think it was miraculous because he was shot twice in the head and twice in the chest, and he survived to tell the story. And of course, they convicted him. And I've given several updates before. Jeff is in the process of a state habeas case at the moment to get his release. We're very optimistic that eventually we're going to get his release here. The case is in front of the judge, and there has been some activity in the last week. Just legal team filed a motion for the respondent to reveal all the information about this case, which is currently under seal. In another case where Folsom sued the state of Missouri. So Officer Folsom, as we later found out, was under psychotropic medication. He at the time that he shot Jeff, he was given a drug test that day or the next day, as you do in officer-involved shootings, and he failed it because he was on Ambien and Prozac, which are known to cause violent behavior to treat post-traumatic stress syndrome. He uh, he was relieved of his duties on the day. He was never allowed to work again, but he was kept on the payroll for 2 years until all of Jeff's appeals were exhausted. And then he was fired because he could serve no purpose. The psychiatrist said that he could never work in law enforcement because his post traumatic stress syndrome gave him a false sense of threat so that he might shoot somebody merely reaching in their back pocket for a wallet. And of course, the Missouri State Highway Patrol knew all this information. The Franklin County prosecutor knew all this information, and the Missouri Attorney General's office knew all this information. And they illegally hid it from Jeff so that they could prosecute him and get him convicted. And so now, in this habeas case, just last week, Jeff's legal team has asked for this material that's in Folsom's case against the state of Missouri to be revealed. It's under seal currently. Although public can review the case, most of the stuff in there and what we can see is bad enough. It's clearly a Brady violation already. But they had a joint stipulated protective order that both Folsom and the state agreed to because there's stuff in that case that they didn't want Jeff to ever see. And it's about Jeff. But he has a right to see it. He had a right to see it at his original trial. And now the state is still denying it. So Jeff's attorneys asked the judge to order the release of this information. A few days ago, the state of Missouri responded under Mike Spillane as Assistant Attorney General and doing this under the name of Eric Schmidt, who is the Attorney General for the state of Missouri. And their response was absolutely appalling. These are supposed to be officers of the law, and their duty is supposed to be to seek justice, not merely to convict. And they have a requirement not only under Brady versus Maryland, but also a nephew violations. So the Brady case reveals that prosecutors can never have exculpatory evidence that would tend to uh, acquit the defendant and not reveal it. Whatever they have to reveal, even if it would help the defendant, they have to reveal it if they have something that would help him. And the nephew violations are when a prosecutor puts a witness on the stand or has a witness testify for the prosecution that is giving knowingly false information. And that's clearly the case here as well. The documents already prove it. They knew Folsom was lying, and the Missouri State Highway Patrol has covered it up forever. And now the state of Missouri Attorney General's office is arguing in court that they still can't release this information because in the habeas case that Jeff has brought, in habeas cases, the 400-year tradition or more maybe is that a wrongful conviction case has to be brought against the jailer. And that's the way that's the only way you can legally do it. So that's what Jeff's case is brought against Stanley Payne, who is warden of the prison where Jeff currently is. And now the state's arguing that they can't release this information because the suit is against Warden Stanley Payne, and he doesn't have this information. But yet the state is the employer of Warden Stanley Payne. The state is the lawyer of Warden Stanley Payne. The Attorney General's office is the one running the defense. They're the ones that also were running the defense in his trial. So they have all this information. And, they're claiming with all this bizarre legalese mumbo jumbo that because Jeff is required to sue the warden, uh, that he can't have this information. And this is done over and over again in courts. I've seen it in my case where they always say that the citizen is not doing it right. But there is no right way, according to them, for the citizen to ever get the information which they're required to give. And they just refuse to give it. And, here is the Attorney General's office of the state of Missouri clearly acting against justice. They are sitting on information they know would acquit Jeff, and they are refusing to provide it to the court. And, following the state's response, Jeff's attorneys filed a reply again that cited numerous court cases that proves that Jeff has a right to this information, that he has the right to this information in a habeas case, even though, of course, habeas cases are brought against the warden or the jailer. And there is no way that they can deny it. So, I hope that the judge will either order the release of this information immediately or just grant Jeff his release if he wants to try to hide this information from the public still. But, Jeff Weinhaus needs to get out. And, we think that, we always look around the world and talk about Saudi Arabia or China or all these countries that we claim have political prisoners. Well, we have political prisoners right here in America, and Jeff Weinhaus is one of them. And I should also mention today we're celebrating the release of Todd Engel. It's another political prisoner who was held for 5 years for nothing. Jeff's former lawyer, Warren Markowitz, deserves a lot of credit for getting him out, but he never should have been in jail in the first place. It was related to the Bunkerville case out in Nevada. There's 2 remaining political prisoners in that case that I'm aware of, Jerry DeLemus and also Greg Burleson. And both of them, Greg Burleson was set up and framed by informants. And, Jerry DeLemus, that's the most incredible thing I've ever seen. He's in jail, been there for 9 years for conspiring with the Bundy family. The Bundy family committed no crime. And Jerry wasn't even there on the day that this supposedly happened. And, it's just insanity. And Schaefer Cox is another one of them, political prisoner, and that needs to be released. But anyway, I hope that you'll think about Jeff today. I spoke to Jeff this morning, and he was just thinking about this day. 8 years ago today it was that he was shot. And he said God saved his life. And I believe that. And so I hope that you'll help keep the pressure on. You'll look into cases in your own community where authorities are abusing their power. And here we have the Attorney General's office in the state of Missouri that's clearly and blatantly acting to protect the state rather than to protect the interest of the citizens of the state and to seek justice wherever justice leads. They are denying their oath. They're denying their American Bar Association requirements. and they're acting completely out of line, and to try to deny this Jeff justice in this case, and they should be ashamed of themselves. But I hope that you'll pray for Jeff. I know that he's praying for all of you supporters out there. He's a good man. He's a religious man. And I hope that soon he's going to walk out of that prison. Thank all of you for your time. God bless you.